You are doing fasting wrong. Not because you are not listening to experts, not because the experts don't know what they are talking about, but because we forget something very important. Part of living a holistic life is going with the body, according to body, not against to it. And modern fasting goes against to how our body is supposed to be working. Let me explain. And hello and welcome. I'm Rita Rózsás. Welcome to the Holisticated. Today's topic is quite hot. It's because fasting is everywhere. Fasting is considered to be one of these miracle cure, if you will, to have a long, happy, healthy body. Fasting by itself is excellent. There are a lot of research proving its merits and its benefits. And I was doing fasting that way a couple of years ago just to lose weight. I was feeling okay, but I had some excess weight what I wanted to shed, and part of my routine was to do fasting. Over the years, when I developed holistic living and the principles of how we are supposed to be living a whole life, I remembered something very important. That there is a difference between how the Western world lives and how the Eastern world lives. There is nothing racist about this. I am a Hungarian, but I'm living in the UK, so I have a little bit of insights of both of the ways of living. And let me tell you this, the Eastern view is a little bit closer to how we are supposed to live and how we are supposed to exist. Let me explain what I mean. There is an inner clock inside of us. We can call it meridian clock. You know meridians, these are the channels being in you all over the place where your life force is going. I know this might sound a little bit spiritual, it's not. Meridians are real. Meridian channels are real. These channels are inside your body. You have a life force in you, whether you believe it or not. The Western world calls it your biological clock, your circadian rhythm. They are very close, but they are not the same. And this is exactly here where the whole fasting trend is getting it wrong. Because no matter if you believe it or not, you can believe or not that the sun is going to come up. The sun is going to come up in the exact time every single day, no matter if you believe it or not. This is how nature works. We have our inner clock, whether you believe it or not. Let's call this inner clock now. Here we go. This is your inner clock. And according to your inner clock, your organs are working. Your organs have peak time and resting time. Your body has a peak time and a resting time. If you know your meridian clock, if you know your circadian rhythm, then you can go with it instead of against it. That's where fasting comes and has a huge way in there. So according to the Chinese medicine, our inner clock is set to different times. This is where our organs are the most active and the least active. For example, we're supposed to wake up between 5 and 7 in the morning, and that's where we eliminate. We eliminate the waste of yesterday's product. You know, you had a whole 8, 9, 10 hours of sleep where your body was working through everything and just sorting it out. Between 5 and 7, you're supposed to wake up. That is the time when the sun comes up, sending signals to your body to wake you up. So you wake up between 5 and 7 and you eliminate first. Then you drink. That's the second important one. When you drink water, because you have been so dehydrated, because you didn't have a drop of drink during night, you are dehydrated, you need to rehydrate. Eliminate and drink first. A big cup of warm lemon water. That's what I like to start my day with. And between 7 and 9, your stomach is the most active. That's where you break your fast. Break fast between 7 and 9 a.m. And this is the first place where the Western world gets the whole fasting thing wrong. They want to eliminate breakfast. They tell you not to have breakfast because you need to extend your fast. Wait until we get to the whole clock, then you will understand what's wrong with this. Breakfast in English language is very clever. It's where you break your fast. Here, because you have been sleeping, you have been drinking and eliminating. Now your body is ready to have breakfast because this is this time when stomach is the most active. Your stomach is ready. It's been empty for a long while. It's ready for a good breakfast. Not cereal, not, butter in toast, a good breakfast. And you have this saying, have breakfast as a king, don't you? That is not a coincidence either. They don't say skip breakfast as a king. Eat breakfast as a king. Between 7 and 9. That is how and when you break your fast. Your stomach is ready. Your stomach is the most active. It wants to have food. That's how we are designed. Wake up between 5 and 7. Eat and drink and eliminate. Then eat. This is important. It's not a debate about should I have breakfast or not. That's how our stomach is designed. To have breakfast between 7 and 9. Then you go on and not to eat anything, and between 11 and 1, that's where you have your lunch. In Hungary, your lunch is the most important meal. Usually we have some soup, we have some second course, and we have something sweet as a dessert to eat. I know we have our sweet tooth always. And if you go to Hungary, you will see that everyone goes to lunch at 12:00. You have the biggest queues, all the restaurants are very busy. You have your own lunch at noon. Not at 11, definitely not at 1. If you go to, and with the traditional Hungarian way, it's always noon when people are ready for lunch. It's not a coincidence because if you have breakfast between 7 and 8, how we usually do before work and before school, then by the time it's noon, it's 4 hours left and 4 hours past, you are ready for your lunch. You have your bigger lunch, then you rest here a little bit because your stomach is so full. You don't want to have your biggest meetings at 1 or 2 p.m. because everybody is so sleepy because of the bigger lunch. Then you have your dinner, and that's very important again, between 5 and 7 p.m. You have your dinner between 5 and 7 p.m. Why is it? Because if your stomach is most active between 7 and 9 a.m., your stomach is the least active between 7 and 9 p.m. Ideally, what you eat, usually we have our dinner at 6 p.m. because your stomach has a little bit of a time to digest this food. And when your stomach is least active, the food is just gonna sit there. And it's going to cause all sorts of nightmares and troubles because it's not doing anything. Your stomach is at rest. It starts again after 9 p.m., but you should be in bed by then. You should go to bed by 10 p.m. Do you see the difference? Do you see the difference between the Western world that starts cooking dinner at 7 p.m., a huge dinner, what you're supposed to have for lunch? You eat it here at 7 p.m. at dinner. which is going to be heavy, sitting in your stomach because your stomach is asleep. It's resting. By the time it starts again, it's been just sitting there. And you're supposed to go to bed with a full undigested stomach. That is the trouble. That is the trouble. Because what does Western world do? Because you have dinner so late, let's see, 8 p.m. is your dinner. It's just sitting there in your stomach, undigested. You go to bed ideally at 10. You are not going to be hungry the next morning. That's why they say to skip breakfast, because you are not going to be hungry anyway. But this is not how we are designed. If you have your breakfast as it's supposed to be at 6 p.m., trust me, by the time it's going to be 7 and 9 next day, you are going to be hungry. And count this. If you have your dinner at 6 and do nothing about until 7 or 8 in the morning, in the next morning, that's already 14 hours. That is your full fasting window over here between 6 p.m. and 7, 8 a.m. That's already 14, 15 hours of not eating anything. Your stomach had enough time to digest it before it goes to sleep. Then you go to sleep at 10. If you go to sleep at 10, how you are supposed to be, then you wake up between 5 and 7. You eliminate. That's the first thing you do. Then you rehydrate. Then you are going to be, an hour later, you are going to be ready for your breakfast. You eat breakfast at its own time and you do nothing. Then by the time it's noon, you are ready for your lunch, which is a cooked lunch, having some soup, having all protein, veggies, and carbs on your plate. That's the biggest meal. So your body has enough time to digest it. Then you can have a little bit of a snack at 4-ish. That's perfectly fine. Have your dinner no later than 6 p.m. Then your stomach has enough time to digest everything before you go to bed. That's why they say not to eat anything before you go to bed, or 3 hours before you go to bed. If you eat dinner as you are supposed to be at 6 p.m., you have your 3-4 hour window. Then by the next morning, you have your 14-15 hours of fast in the correct time, according to your body, not going against it, not sitting a whole lunch, a cooked huge meat dinner in your stomach from 8 p.m. That's where your stomach cannot rest. It must digest. That means it can cause all sorts of nightmares, literally, all sorts of heaviness, all sorts of fogginess, and restless sleep. That's not what you want. If you go with your body, have your breakfast here between 7 and 9. Have your lunch, a cooked lunch, a big one, what you now eat for dinner. Just push it up here for lunch. Have a little snack, then no later than 6 p.m. have your light dinner. Your weight is going to thank you for it. That's why you have your fasting. You have enough time to fast, and you don't even have to do anything because you are going to be sleeping most of the time with a partially empty stomach, not on an empty stomach, with a partially empty stomach, not interfering with your sleep. Try it. Do it this way and see what it can cost to you. This is a whole kind of living, a holistic living, according to our body, according to our design, and not going against it. Try it and let me know. Also, I explain everything in this book. This is Under the Frog's Butt. This is my new book, and this explains all of the clock. Let me find it for you. Here. Everything is explained in there. I show you step by step what to do. It's not difficult, and once you understand the whole meridian clock, circadian rhythm, what time to do what, that becomes easier. You can find this on Amazon. It's called Under the Frog's Bath. Thank you for your attention, and I see you in my next video.